What's going on, all you Minties? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, and join me today for an advanced look at some collected editions coming at you from Marvel Comics this week. So, please stay tuned. Before getting started, a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of these collected editions. All these books are due out in the direct market on June 16th, and then a few weeks later in the book market. So, we've got a couple of complete collections, lots of Thor books, a Marvel Masterworks, and a gallery edition. And yes, even a reprint of this complete collection here. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be talking about Power Pack first. Not only do we have a Power Pack omnibus that came out today, but we also have Power Pack, the trade paperback of this series from 2020. This collects all 5 issues of that 2020 series, and the trade paperback is called The Powers That Be. So, all the Power Pack is back. All the siblings. You have Katie, Jack, Julie, and Alex. They all come back, and no, this is not what the artwork looks like, I promise you. This is what the artwork looks like. And the artwork is done by Nico Leon. The story is written by Ryan North. And Ryan North is the one that worked on Squirrel Girl for a lot of years. But this is what the art looks like. And the story is pretty simple. It's during 2020, during the outlawed era. So the Kamala Khan law is in effect. And the kids have to abide by that law. So that law practically means that superheroes can't be younger than a certain age, and if they are, they have to be mentored by somebody, and all of that happened in the outlawed event that I've already done an overview of, so y'all can blame Miss Marvel. But it's also the return of this guy right here, the Boogeyman. He comes back and he's wrecking havoc. So you have the return of all these characters and their superhero names like Zero G and Energizer and Mass Master. Okay, so this is pretty interesting because these are kids that have been fighting crime since, well, to us, since the 80s. But now they have to be mentored by this guy right here, Agent Esther. And who made his first appearance in this particular miniseries. So it's pretty interesting to see them, they have to abide by these rules. So, of course, they're going to listen and be like, okay, sure, you can mentor us. And it's kind of cute because he offers to mentor them and they're like, yeah, well, maybe we'll find someone else. And they go and ask several other characters, but everybody's too busy. But there are some appearances here by some past villains, and some great appearances in this particular miniseries by some allies from the kids past. Oh, you have this awesome fight here with the Taskmaster. Man, I really dig the artwork. It really fits the tone of this particular story. I tell you what is weird, though, is getting used to the kids dressing the way they're dressing or using smartphones. I'm so used to my nostalgia of what the Power Pack was that reading this felt like they were different characters. Don't get me wrong, it's still the tone and the message and everything is still the same about the Power Pack. It just feels like it's modernized. Not forcefully, but I mean, you have to, right? You have to reintroduce new people to the Power Pack. Really dig this artwork, though, and the colors are awesome. I love how each chapter is introduced by Katie with her own little drawings. Yeah, and then we have YouTube videos. Dude, how are you going to get 3.1 million views 3 hours ago? I don't have any of my videos. Well, of course, I don't also have videos of superpowers. But anyway, let's look in the back here for some extras. There's a couple of variant covers, but I really am a fan of this one here on the right. And of course, I'm censoring the final page of the miniseries. Hopefully it means there'll be more Power Pack later. There's the June Brigman cover, who is the original co-creator of Power Pack. Advertisement for the omnibus. The book retails for $15.99 and has 112 pages in here. Thor, Prey. So this is Thor by Donny Cates. And this is volume 2, collecting issues 7 through 14 of this Thor series, written by Donny Cates. The first couple of issues are drawn by Aaron Kuder, and then Nick Klein comes back. And I think Nick Klein has really grown on me. He has this Jeff Shaw type of artwork that fits the tone of this particular story. So the very first couple of issues are, actually, they're really cool. I really enjoyed this series. And I'm going to talk about a couple of things that are not spoilers, but just in case, if you've not read it and you want to, be surprised, by all means, skip to the next book. I put timestamps on the description of the video so people can skip around and skip the books they don't want to know anything about, or just get to the books that they want to know about. All right, now that I've said that, it is a reunion between Beta Ray Bill and Thor, and they're drinking and they're talking about old times, and he wants to know more about Thanos. Meanwhile, Thor's messing around with Tony Stark on Earth, so he put Mjolnir down there with Tony Stark's number, and yeah, Tony's kind of pissed about that. I think that's the tone of this book, though. It's a little lighthearted humor like that, and then you have some badassness in the other arc. So this collects, like I mentioned, issues 7 through 14 of the 2020 series. The book retails for $24.99. Let me just show some more of this artwork through this particular first 2 issues, drawn by Aaron Kuder, and it has 176 pages. There's some nice images. Kuder is a great artist. He's the one that worked on Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, as far as the second arc in here, the second arc reintroduces a character from the past, but he's been reimagined, and he's more of a badass, going around and taking care of anyone that has ever just worn the Thor armor or been worthy of being Thor, and he's just screaming no more. And it's a pretty twisted way to reintroduce this character. And here's this character right here. While the first arc was lighthearted and about a reunion and about friends just messing around, this one is a little dark. Actually, it is pretty dark, some of the things that this character is able to do. But I did want to showcase Nick Klein's artwork throughout this series. Now, for anybody ever questioning how badass Throg is, that's right, Thor Frog. He's a complete badass in this particular series. I had to show this page because that's just awesome. I love seeing this character. Walter Simonson's run on Thor is one of my favorite runs. The covers are sometimes collected, like the variant covers are collected on the opposite page of the standard edition cover. So not all the covers are in the back. As a matter of fact, I think in this trade paperback, none of the variant covers are in the back. Alright, I can't show anything in the back because this is a return of some characters, and there are no extras in the back. I just showed how they're doing the variant covers in between chapters. There are some deaths here from some characters that appeared throughout the pages of Thor in the past, but you really don't have to be familiar with Thor to know that, hey, this character once held the hammer, so I do keep that in mind if you're reading this for the first time, or this is your first time reading Thor. But man, there's so much adrenaline in this. It's so awesome. Journey into Mystery by Kieron Gillen, the complete collection, volume 1. Nobody saw this coming. $34.99. Nobody saw them reprinting this. That's crazy. So, here's the thing. Marvel hardly reprints complete collections. It's not completely unheard of. Didn't mean to even do that. But they do them from time to time, and very, very seldom do they reprint them. So 2 complete collections have been reprinted this year. This one here, Journey into Mystery by Kieron Gillen, of course, Agent of Asgard. And one thing I always say about reprints of things like Epic Collections or complete collections is that if you are interested in picking them up, you may want to do it at least the first week. They tend to make a small print run of these reprints. So I always like to make people cautious. Not driving FOMO, really, because I hate doing that. But I also want people to get the books that they want. So this particular volume, I think, retails for $34.99. We'll talk about what it collects here in a few minutes. But it has 392 pages. So what is Loki? What's going on in this series? So something happened towards the end of Siege. And then during Matt Fraction's run, something happens to Loki where he becomes a small child. And you can find out, those are available, I think, in trade paperback format. I don't think they've collected those in complete collections, Matt Fraction's run. But something does happen to Loki where he changes how he becomes a child. However, Gillen does an amazing job of just pretty much summing it up in just a couple of pages what exactly happened between Thor and Loki and why he is back as a child. So this collects Journey into Mystery. They've gone back to the original numbering system of 622 to 636 and 626.1. And man, this series is top for me. It is awesome. It's beautiful from beginning to end. There's some amazing artwork in here. All of this written by Gillen. But you have, for the most part, Doug Braithwaite. He's the main artist throughout the this particular volume. And you also have Will Spartasio and Pasquale Ferry, just to name a few of the artists that contribute in here. So this just collects the journey and a mystery going back to the original numbering system. And it just features Loki. It does, I want to say it ties a little bit into the Matt Fraction run of Thor, but you really don't need to read that unless you're a completist and want to read everything. Of course, I'm the same way. I feel that. But it really, like, you're not missing anything. When Volume 2, if Volume 2 of this gets reprinted, I'm sure they will include the issues of Thor that you need. So, here he is, Loki, and he's a lot different than he's been before. Yes, he is still the god of mischief, but it's like he's trying to redeem himself. He has the innocence of a child. Almost like he's a completely different character. Oh, man. And then this right here, his little love interest. Oh, it's so cute. The relationship is so innocent and adorable that you almost start to sympathize for the kid. So much so that by the end of the series, you're really rooting for him. Now, this is the same character that later on appears in the pages of Young Avengers. However, that has a little bit of a twist to it because of the ending of this particular series. And not going to say anything else about that. Here's Will Spartasio's artwork. Loved seeing this guy drawing Marvel characters again. Nope, not him. This guy right here. So he was the guy from the 90s, went on to make Wetworks and co-created Bishop. But here he is drawing Kid Loki. Or just, as he likes to be called, Loki. Oh, there's the Hellstorm team up. If you want to know more of an in-depth review of this, we've done an old reader, new reader of this particular. We did the old reader, new reader on the Omnibus, and I'll put a link up above if you are interested in seeing that. But let's look in the back here for some extras. Okay, so we have some variant covers back here. The movie covers. The least I say about those, the better. I don't know. Anybody a fan of movie covers? Maybe some of you all are. And here's some more variants. And I think this is just a quick recap as to what's happened in Thor's life. Yeah. So this is everything that's happened in Thor's life and Loki's life so far. So if you want to, you can skip to the back of the book and just catch up this way. But like I mentioned, the most important things are done in a little 2-page recap by Gillen. Let's see what else is back here. So you have articles here in the back. And then original artwork by Doug Braithwaite. No inks, no colors. And Mistress of Mischief, Loki. Nice. All right. Did I mention how many pages? I think I did, right? This one has 392 pages and retails for $34.99. Coming out this week. Time for all you spine watchers to hit that pause button and to hit that like button. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. We put out videos every day. Alright, let's keep going. There's so much Asgardian stories this week. So here's Thor by Jason Aaron, Volume 3. This is the complete collection finally coming out for all those wondering why it was delayed. I think it was just delayed about a month or so, but it is finally here. This, oh man, now we're into some good stuff. Not that the previous run was good, but I really enjoyed this, mainly because of this gentleman's artwork right here, and that is Russell Dauterman. I mean, he comes in firing at all cylinders. Holy crap, look at that, that's gorgeous. So, this is the era of Thor, the mighty Thor, where he is now, oh my gosh, I forgot about how violent this was. What a freaking awesome opening. And all of this kick-ass artwork, all of it leads into the War of the Realms. So, what was I saying? And yes, during this time, Thor is a lady. She's not Lady Thor, she's not Miss Thor, or Thor Girl. She's just known as Thor. And Odinson, he's still around. Odinson is just like, well, he's trying to redeem himself because he is unworthy during this time. And I'm just going to pass up on some of the stuff that may spoil some of this arc for you. So I just wanted to come and showcase this picture by Russell Dauterman. showing Loki in his different forms. And if you're wondering where his female form is, worry not. Look at that. That looks just like Copiel's artwork. So both versions get to fight themselves in this. Oh, it's so good. This era is awesome. There's a few fill-in artists here. Oh, this is talking about the War Thor storyline that leads up into something else. Oh, you have the Oubliette, the return of the, what is her name? The Terminatrix. The character that was created by Grant Morrison in Marvel Boys run. If you ever watch my Hidden Gems, I talked about that particular run. But she shows up. She's a part of this council here. And like I mentioned, all this stuff, man, Russell Dodderman, what a phenomenal artist. I know he's doing a lot of covers for X-Men these days, but I'd love to see him go back on a monthly title. I just want his art gracing the pages of a monthly title. So speaking of titles, this particular book collects Mighty Thor 1 through 19. It's the 2015 series. And it has 448 pages. Now, it does get a little bit confusing. Of course, if you're getting them in complete collection, you know how to read them, 1, 2, and 3. But I have done a reading order of Thor, and I've done a reading order of Jason Aaron's Thor in particular, in case you have them in different formats. By the way, Volume 5 of this, if I'm not mistaken, or no, Volume 4 will collect the Unworthy Thor. That was previously not collected, well, at least not in oversized format for those of us that have been collecting this in oversized hardcover format. But the stories here are epic. There's a reason why people always talk about Jason Aaron's Thor as being one of the best runs. Definitely the best modern run. I don't know. Donny Cates run's pretty solid. I really like the stuff he's doing too. But there is a reason why a lot of people are like, where's the Thor Omnibus by Jason Aaron? And when that day comes, because, I mean, we know it's going to come one day. We just don't know when. I'm sure a lot of people are finally going to be like, yes, we're finally getting Thor by Jason Aaron in omnibus format. But I also realize there's quite a number of you that only collect books in this particular format, in trade paperback format, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great, and honestly, you're saving a ton of money. Now, let's look in the back here. Oh, the Shi'ar Asgardian War is solid. All right, let's look in the back here for extras. I had to showcase some more of the artwork. Sorry. I know I'm heading to the back for extras, but just look at that. That is so badass. He's such a phenomenal artist. How could you not want this guy drawing a monthly book? I promised looking at extras, and here they are in the back. So this is the artwork here and the inks to the cover of Mighty Thor #1. Here's some character designs, or reimagining some of these characters, just to kind of give you an idea of what the behind the scenes looks like. And what the, oh, these are the design variants. Variant covers here. I forgot about these. What are these things called? Zooms. That is awesome. That's Mike Deodato. All right, let's keep going. Captain America Bicentennial Battles. This is the Marvel Treasury edition. To give you an idea of how big this book is, here it is compared to the size of a trade paperback. Yes, this is the new designs of the Reign of X. I'll be doing an overview of that the week this particular book comes out. But it looks similar to the designs of the Dawn of X. Very happy that they stuck with those. All right, let's go back to this. Big size book in the format that it originally came out with, because Captain America the Bicentennial Battles was originally published in a bigger format. So when it came out in trade paperback, people were upset that it didn't do the story justice, mainly the artwork. And you're going to see a lot of names here besides Jack Kirby. Some of them are Herb Trimpe, John Romita, Sr., that is, and Barry Windsor-Smith supplying the inks for this main storyline. And you can tell when Barry Windsor-Smith supplies the inks because there's just such an amount of detail, especially like in his chainmail or sometimes the leaves that he's running through in the forest. This particular book is 112 pages long, so it just features that story, but this also includes the Mighty Marvel Bicentennial Calendar 1976. I think the retail price for this, no, it is $29.99. So, really quick, the premise of this, by the way, this is collected in the Jack Kirby Omnibus, if you're interested in owning them in hardcover format. So, the basic premise is Captain America runs into this gentleman named Mr. Buddha. And Mr. Buddha wants Captain America to travel through time, to make it make him aware of how America was really built and what it's built on. So Captain America's like, nah, I'm good. He leaves, and then as he's leaving, he stumbles upon Nazi Germany, where there's a beautiful, quick, and emotional reunion with Bucky. And you can find out how that story turns out. But yes, you can probably tell this one is inked by the phenomenal Barry Windsor Smith. He comes back from the ending of that story, and he's like, okay, sure, show me. So as he's walking, he gets to travel through different periods of American history. And there are some very powerful moments in here when he realizes, you know, how America was made and that all of us are Americans. I think that's very awesome that, you know, Captain America in, of course, the comic book format, celebrating 200 years of America, you know, gets to preach a little bit. And I thought that was really cool. But here he is with Ben Franklin, and then, of course, being the inspiration for the American flag. But time travel, right? There's a lot of fun that Jack Kirby had with this. And this is when Jack Kirby came back to Marvel. And, you know, to me, I think this is probably the best time of his art. At least for me. And yes, I'm sure that has to do sometimes with the inking by different inkers. But there's a lot of phenomenal art in here. There's a lot of splash pages. Let me just show a couple. Much like this here. And then there's a lot of spread pages. Like this piece here. So if you like oversized artwork and you want to appreciate Jack Kirby's art in the biggest format of this particular story, probably the closest that it is to the original format that it was printed in, this might be the way to go. Now in the back, that's all I will say about the story though, in case you've not read it. In the back here is the Mighty Marvel Bicentennial calendar that goes month by month. So shows different characters, different artists. So that's really cool that they decided to put that in here. I don't think that's part of the omnibus. Actually, I know it's not a part of the omnibus because I would have been blown away that they put a bunch of this art in there. Now, there's other extras in here like house ads and then, of course, original pages. Look at that. That's inked by Barry Windsor Smith. It's the Herb Trimpe pages. See the differences? And that is it. And what are these here? Oh, these are the trade paperback covers and then the remastered variants. If you're wondering, the Treasury edition, this particular one, is soft cover. And again, retails for $29.99. Last, but certainly not least, Marvel Masterworks Daredevil Volume 15. This is the direct market cover, and of course there's always a standard edition cover with these. However, the direct market covers are always limited. For example, this one is limited to 735 copies. Here's some of the covers that you will find in here. Let's look at it under the dust jacket. As always, these are beautiful presentations of these comics. There's the spine and then the front with this leather finish to it. Beautiful bookend pages. And here we go. Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. Volume 15. Now, the name here is, of course, Frank Miller. Yes, there's tons of other people that worked on this book. Michael Fleischer, Roger McKenzie supplying most of the writing at first. But the reason I think most people know who Daredevil is because of Frank Miller. Here's your table of contents and your introduction by Charles Soule, who I think does a phenomenal job in explaining why people really love Frank Miller. So, do you all remember when X-Men was canceled? I've talked about it a lot on the channel, and I'm sure a lot of you already knew that. And they brought it back with Giant Size #1, and then really with Giant Size #1 and Chris Claremont coming into the book is what made X-Men X-Men. Well, what Chris Claremont did with X-Men, Frank Miller did with Daredevil. His run on Daredevil is the stuff of legends. Now, he did start with issue number 158 that was previously collected in volume 14. However, he didn't start writing for another 10 issues. It's not until issue 168 that he started writing. The other thing to keep in mind, and of course we probably don't know this these days, is that Daredevil was almost canceled. A lot. Frank Miller almost left the book. He wasn't really happy with the script. So, oh, by the way, this collects issues 159 and 172 of Daredevil, and I'll talk about the importance of a lot of these without giving spoilers, of course, and also has the material from Bizarre Adventures number 25. The book has 368 pages and retails for $75. So, it was canceled. I mean, it was going to be canceled. Frank Miller was unhappy and he wanted to leave the book. And it wasn't until, I think it was Dennis O'Neil that stepped in and said, you know, maybe you should try writing it, because he liked one of the backup stories that Frank Miller did. I have no idea how this particular story has not been made into film format. This fight with Bullseye on Coney Island on this roller coaster is so awesome. Just how crazy this fight was. I remember as a kid reading this for the first time, I was just on the edge of my seat. You know, you have kidnapped Black Widow, and who kidnaps Black Widow? She's a badass herself. Well, there's a twist to that later on, but you can see for yourself. But this fight right here in particular, awesome. So there is a lot of Bullseye in here. By the way, if you own the Frank Miller Omnibus, this is the one issue that was left out of that. This is the one that's written by Michael Fleischer, and it's drawn by the legendary Steve Ditko. So it's this one standalone issue. It was a fill-in issue for the team to catch up. But, so I mean, yes, you don't need it, but as a completist, come on. You know you do. So it's not in the omnibus, in case you were wondering. Now, let's keep going and talking about this guy. Here's the fight with the Hulk, which is freaking epic. Here he is retelling the death of his father. It's a very powerful issue here. You get the fight with Gladiator, and then you get, oh, the fight with Doc Ock, of course. Hold on a second. Let's get to his first issue, Frank Miller. I mean, this is full-blown Frank Miller. He wrote it, and he did the pencils. Now, the other gentleman I'm going to mention is part of this legend, and that is Klaus Janson. Like, he should be given as much credit as Frank Miller did. He was his inker, and then literally at the end of his run, he was Frank Miller's finisher. Frank Miller was just doing layouts by the end of his run. He had a hard time keeping up the schedule. So, one thing you probably notice is with the very first issue, he introduces us to the character of Elektra. Elektra, Matt Murdock's love interest, an assassin now. What made her change her ways? How did a good girl from his past go bad? Man, what an awesome story. Not only that, but by the time we get to issue 170, we get the Kingpin. Now, the Kingpin has always been a Spider-Man villain up until this issue. Not only did we get the Kingpin, but we get the badass Kingpin in his underwear taking out dudes. Look at that. This is Frank Miller. Oh man, that is so awesome. You know how badass you have to be to take out a group of dudes in your underwear? Yeah, you gotta be like Chuck Norris badass. I can't believe I just said Chuck Norris, but yes. It does introduce the character of Kingpin to the Daredevil lore. So from this moment on, from Gang War on, he becomes a Daredevil villain. So remember when I said the title was almost canceled? Well, it was also bi-monthly. It was only coming out every other month. So by issue 171, I think, so the very next issue after this, it becomes monthly. Because Marvel saw the sales of this particular run and decided to publish it monthly. This title that was almost canceled, that was coming out once every couple of months, was going monthly. Now, you know, you may like Frank Miller, you may not like it, but you do have to give credit where credit is due. If not for him, we wouldn't have the other legendary runs that you may have liked better, of course. Like Bendis' run, Mark Waid's run, Brubaker's run, Andy Diggle's run, Charles Soule's run, Chip Zdarsky's run. All those runs, every one of those runs goes back to this particular. Even Frank Miller coming back doing Born Again comes back to this. This is the stuff of comic book legends. And I think I've said enough about this run. I mean, I don't even know who I'm talking to. I'm pretty sure most of you know this. Here's the Bizarre Adventures story. This was also collected in the Black Widow Omnibus. By the way, Paul Gulacci's artwork in this, freaking beautiful. Look at that. Humphrey Bogart appears in this, but you can find out for yourself as to what I mean by that. Let's look at the extras. So you have the Marvel Team Up Portfolio 1 here. Original artwork by Frank Miller and Klaus Janson. And like I said earlier, Klaus Janson is a big part of this legend. I don't want his name left out. because he was not only the inker at first, he eventually became the finisher of Frank Miller's artwork towards the end of Frank Miller's run. I think which was 191. Here's the original art here of 168, first appearance of that lady right there. And then later on, in the second volume of this, you'll see other first appearances too. In the, not second volume, but volume 16, but the second volume of Frank Miller's run. You'll see other first appearances too. Like things that you thought have always been a part of Matt Murdock, like Stick and the Hand. All of that happens later. And here are some cover art here. This is when Miller, of course, had changed his style. John Romita, Marked for Death, trade paperback. I used to have that. And the Gang War trade paperback. I think I had that one there. That's the one by Klaus Janson. These are reprints and trade paperback of Frank Miller's run. Man. Introduction to the first Daredevil Visionaries Frank Miller Volume 1 trade paperback, and then, of course, the biographies. As far as the paper quality, it is the same paper quality they've been using in Marvel Masterworks. This is nice, thick, glossy paper format, sewn binding, which I'm sure you already saw. But that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online source for collected editions up to 50% off retail price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on excellent packaging, so your stuff gets to you in excellent condition, and they have amazing customer service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And for all you Minties that are watching, if you're a first-time customer, don't forget to mention that Near Mint Condition sent you their way for a promotional credit on free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for U.S. customers. cheapgraphicnovels.com, your source for the hottest books with deep discounts, customer service, and excellent shipping that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and page count of each of these collected editions. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you're picking up. If seeing things like Journey in a Mystery by Kieron Gillen and the Agent of Asgard Loki's complete collection, does that give you hope that there will be more complete collections reprinted later on, like Tomb of Dracula? That would be cool. There's a lot of complete collections that are out of print, so hopefully we'll start seeing some more here and there. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. If you have any more questions, please leave those questions down below, or if you have any comments. Don't forget to check out our spread shop and our Patreon, amazing ways to support the channel. Both of those links are in the description down below, and more importantly, everyone, please stay healthy, stay safe, and much love.